in conversation with Dr. Makhosi Khoza this morning. Thank you so very, very much again for your time, which I know is so precious at this point. The threats that have been levelled against you, against your family, against you personally, I mean, I think you have to surround yourself with protection the whole time. Does it want you to do even more, or do you get a bit scared?
You know, I think it's... Of course, I am concerned about that. I am not a suicide bomber, and I love life. I do love life. I don't want to die. But, you know, it's very important for us to understand that history is made of people who are courageous, who are prepared to pay the ultimate price, including death, you know. And if you believe in what you believe in, to me, it's very important to be consistent and to keep on moving irrespective. And again, if you are a woman, it's very easy for people to attack your children because they know it's going to be tough on you. And it is affecting me, but it doesn't deter me from doing what I have to do.
Yeah. You keep talking about as a woman, and I think that's a very big role that you're playing right now in the South African atmosphere, because women, we do have a lot more issues than men do, whichever way you look at it. We're not going to get into that. But there's been a lot of talks within the ranks of the ANC, and we look at the Women's League. The Women's League, for instance, we'll take one example, speaking in defense of the former Deputy Minister, Manana, who we saw and has subsequently resigned. Is there a lot of sexism within the party?
To be honest with you, during the story of Kwezi, you must remember that the ANC Women's League was in defense of the president. And to me, I think that was the miscarriage of justice and the betrayal of what women's emancipation is all about. And to me, I think the Women's League ought to have, you know, probably supported Kwezi during that time, but it didn't happen like that. And I'm sorry that I was never able to speak out as I ought to have been previously, because one has become complicit. It is a fact that, you know, you always believe in democratic centralism. That's how we're socialized. And sometimes it's very difficult. But there comes a time when you feel that you've been speaking to the party, but the voices in the party is not prepared to listen to you. You are always treated as a rogue element. Remember that I was actually in the provincial legislature. The reason why I chose to leave the legislature, the provincial legislature, as the chair of SCOPA, it's because a lot of members within that legislature were not happy with me as the chair of SCOPA. They expected me to treat them with kids' glove when they are doing the wrong things. And I didn't agree. And that is why I left. In fact, it is the branches of the ANC that brought me back to politics. I was no longer in politics. I was in business, and I was working elsewhere and not as a politician anymore.
So what you're saying is worrying, because from the outside looking in, we look at the amount of government ministers that are women, women within the party ranks that are in powerful positions. Are you saying this is fronting? Do you think that women really do have power in the party, or is this just let's put them in that position? To
be honest with you, I think there are a lot of great women within the party. But obviously, you must understand the culture of the party, democratic centralism. You've got to speak within the party and so forth. But I do think that sometimes when we do that, we do not transition to the new dispensation, which is your democratic constitutionalism, where the people need to know how we are, you know, how we are advancing their own cause within the party. I think we are still caught up in the culture of the liberation struggle, that is the underground struggle culture, where everything is kind of top down and you are not allowed to speak, you know, against the majority voice within the party, even if you think it is wrong.
I mean, even comments from, again, Bathabile Dlamini, the ANC Women's League president, and I quote her in that capacity because she said it during one of the talks, saying that Manana is the least of the worries because there are so many more within the party.
And why were they quiet, Leanne?
And that's what worries me.
Why were they quiet? Why was Bathabile Dlamini quiet about those people who are doing that to women? And being the president of the ANC Women's League, Why is she trivializing what Manana did? And to me, it's really a betrayal of the highest order to women.
Yeah. Let's move on to your relationship with President Jacob Zuma. What do you think of him?
You know, President Zuma is a very humble man. He's a very humble man. But I also do think that, I don't know, I'm hoping that I'm not going to get additional charges. I have enough already. But I do think that he does have a very, very, very compromised moral reflective capacity. I don't think the president is able to reflect morally and say, you know what, right now I am putting so many people in pain. I mean, for example, there is no need for us to have gone through the vote of no confidence. If the president has that moral reflective capacity, he would have said, you know what, even though I may not believe that I am wrong, but just to save the ANC and to ensure that the ANC is united, let me resign for the sake of the ANC and for the sake of South Africa. But he didn't do that. And to me, it says a lot about his leadership style. He is not the kind of person that really believes in people. He labels people, whoever that would come and be critical on him, he takes it personally. And it's not supposed to be like that if we are a leader and we are a head of state.
If I had to speak out about my boss the way you're doing on national television, I would be called into a disciplinary and I would be fired. Does it not worry you that you're going to lose your membership of the ANC, that you're going to be kicked out?
That worries me. But what worries me most is the ANC's failure to transition from a liberation struggle movement to a political party operating in a democratic constitutional dispensation. And again, Leanne, you must remember, I wanted to send a message to other people out there that you cannot follow an unlawful instruction simply because it's coming from your boss. If you have to pay a price for that, so be it.
Yeah. Are you against President Jacob Zuma? Are you against state capture? Are you against, or is that one?
To be honest with you, I don't believe that we can attribute all the problems of the ANC to President Zuma. But as I have written on my Facebook wall, I think we can attribute it to the leadership collective that has failed to deal with patronage within the organization, that has failed to deal with corruption, that has failed. I mean, in KZN, I'm telling you an honest truth. In KZN, we remove people who have been found wanting on that, and what we do, we promote them. We have people, I mean, we have a mayor of Pietermaritzburg, or the former mayor of Umgungundlovu district. We removed her as a mayor of the Umgungundlovu district. Guess who she is now? She's the minister, she's the MEC for arts and culture. So basically, the leadership does not care much about the importance of moral compass. And to me, you cannot pursue a noble cause if we are standing on an amoral platform.
The leadership to take over the ANC is going to happen in December. Do you have your eyes set on anybody? Do you think that out of the candidates that have come forward, anybody has the integrity to change this party that you are so worried about right now and take it forward and take South Africa forward?
Leanne, I have enough troubles. You want me now to comment about what's going to happen in December? Please, I have enough charges, Leanne.
Let's talk about your troubles. Should we talk about them? Because
I'm going to face another disciplinary
on the
10th of September. Yeah. I'm still going to face another one nationally.
Right, we'll have to ask you after that.
No, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Maybe there would be another continental one. Nobody knows.
So the 10th of September is coming up. I mean, do you have any, I mean, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, what happens if you do get kicked out of the party? Will you move to another party? The DA, the EFF?
Definitely, I'm not moving to the DA. And I know there's been a lot of talk about me moving to the DA. I honestly believe that the DA is premised on, protecting minority interests. And I will not move to the EFF. In as much as I respect these parties, they are not sitting, we don't share the ideological orientation. And the ANC mission to me remains relevant in whatever platform that I may be pursuing it. I mean, we must remember that we are now in a democratic dispensation. The Constitution, by the way, it assures me my freedom of association and freedom of moral conscience. So, I mean, it's up to me, really, to exercise my rights if they do fire me. Yeah. But I'm definitely not going to the opposition benches.
You would move perhaps into another sphere of profession?
Well, I don't know. I'm still trying to get through this process of being charged. I'm looking at the ANC firing its own child who's been there for the last 35 years. It's going to be quite interesting. And yet they are leaving many people who are actually doing more damage to the party. I'm not going to say much on that at this stage.
We leave it there for this morning. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being so outspoken and so vocal and for sharing views and speaking, I think, for a lot of people who are very worried about issues. But perhaps you're that ray of light that people have been looking for. Thank you. Thanks for talking to us here on the program.
Thank you very much, Leah.
That was Dr. Makhosi Khoza talking to us about some of the issues that have been making the headlines around her. And we hope, of course, to get the ANC soon or other parties that have been vocal on Dr. Khoza's recent utterances so that we can hear their side of the story as well. All right. The time now, 7 o'clock. Here's your news with Palesa.